chapter 18. Just wanted to confirm.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it must be 18. What is the chapter before that title?
Prabhuji, it is Lord Chaitanya, the original, the original personality of Godhead. 17, chapter 17.
Can you open the first paragraph of 17?
Hare
Yes,
Krishna, Pranam Prabhuji. Yeah, this is the chapter. The next chapter we are going to read today. We have done this chapter.
We've done
Okay, okay.
18. We've done 18,
Okay, fine,
Mataji.
I think Mataji just scroll down to the last paragraph once.
Of chapter 18?
Yeah.
Okay. No, Mataji, we didn't do this.
But this we have not
I
done.
think
This we have not
it
done.
was a long. Just let me
We have
see.
not
We
done
did this because I think I was reading last time and I didn't come across any shlokas. So that's how I remember.
Please go a little up. Actually, Radhakrishna Mataji was reading the chapter. Yes.
Acha. Or maybe I missed. Acha, to ye ho sakta hai, that I missed
I think
last
you were
time.
not in the last class. Mataji was reading.
All right. So
No, I wasn't reading in the last class. I wasn't the one. Last class, somebody else was reading. I think Chuchismita Machi was reading, so she would know the best. I was reading in the previous class.
because I have my mark.
No, it's chapter 18. It's chapter 18.
I have my
Chapter 18.
marked on my chapter 18, The bookmark is there on chapter 18.
So please don't be confused and just go ahead and don't confuse others also.
Okay. Hanji.
Hare Krishna, can I read?
I think it's because the screen is being shared by Mataji. We just have to wait for a second. Because otherwise, she'll not be able to move the screen in tandem with what you're reading. Suchismita Mataji, you're on mute.
Yes, Prabhuji. Do I read, Prabhuji?
Yeah, I think Anandita Mataji wanted to read. So you can.
Yes, I just thought so.
Sorry, I lost my network in between, so I couldn't hear. I just said and I couldn't hear the response. I'm sorry. Hare Krishna, Pranam to all devotees. Your conversation, chapter 18, Conversations with Prakash Ananda. According to the principles of the Mayavadi sannyasis, singing, dancing, and playing musical instruments are strictly prohibited, for they are considered to be sinful activities. The Mayavadi sannyasi is simply supposed to engage in the study of the Vedanta. Therefore,
Before when you read it was a little better. Now it's become a little weaker.
Okay, shall I start reading from for the
Yeah,
first?
now it's clear. Now when you read, it's clear. Yeah, read from like that.
According to the principles of Mayavadi sannyasis, singing, dancing, and playing musical instruments are strictly prohibited, for they are considered to be sinful activities. The Mayavadi sannyasi is simply supposed to engage in the study of Vedanta. Therefore, when the Mayavadi sannyasis in Banaras saw that Lord Chaitanya was indulging in singing, dancing, playing musical instruments, and always chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. They concluded that he was not educated and that out of sentiment he was misleading his followers. Shankaracharya's injunction was that a sannyasi should always study the Vedanta and he should be satisfied by simply having one cloth and nothing more. Because Lord Chaitanya neither studied the Vedanta formally nor ceased from singing and dancing, because Lord Chaitanya neither studied the Vedanta formally nor ceased from singing and dancing, he was criticized by all the sannyasis at Benares as well as by their householder followers. When Lord Chaitanya received news of this criticism,
Acintya Mataji, just hold on. Is everybody able to hear what she's speaking? I'm not able to. It's not very clear to me.
Prabhuji, I think it's going very fast also.
Yeah, it's not very clear. Actually, now when you're speaking, it's clear to me. I can hear you well. We're not able to hear you well, Acintya Mataji.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, somebody else can read then. No problem.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Is my
Okay.
voice audible? Can I read?
Okay, you can. Okay. Okay, can you start from the beginning because I was not able to catch. My screen is too small. I can't catch.
Okay. Okay, Prabhuji. Chapter 18, Conversations with Prakashananda. According to principles of the Mayavadi sannyasis, singing, dancing, and playing musical instruments are strictly prohibited, for they are considered to be sinful activities. The Mayavadi sannyasi is simply supposed to engage in the study of the Vedanta. Therefore, when the Mayavadi sannyasis in Banaras saw that Lord Chaitanya was indulging in singing, dancing, playing musical instruments, and always chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, they concluded that he was not educated and that out of sentiment he was misleading his followers. Shankaracharya's injunction was that a sannyasi should always study the Vedanta and that he should be satisfied by simply having one cloth and nothing more. Because Lord Chaitanya neither studied the Vedanta formally Sorry, am I? Because Lord Chaitanya neither studied the Vedanta formally nor ceased from singing and dancing. He was criticized by all the sannyasis at Banaras as well as by their householder followers. When Lord Chaitanya received news of this criticism from his students and disciples, he simply smiled and started for Mathura and Vrindavan. When he returned to Banaras on his way from Mathura to Jagannath Puri, he stayed at the house of Chandrasekhar, who was considered a Shudra because he was a clerk. In spite of this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made his residence at his home. Lord Chaitanya made no distinctions between Brahmana and Shudras. He accepted anyone who was devoted. Customarily, a sannyasi is supposed to take shelter and eat in the home of a Brahmana. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the independent Supreme Personality of Godhead, used his own discretion and decided to stay at Chandrasekhar's house. In those days, by misusing their Brahminical heritage, the Brahmanas had created a law to the effect that anyone not born in a Brahmana family was to be considered a Shudra. Thus, even the Kshatriyas and I think it's Vaishyas were also considered Shudras. Because the Vaishyas were said to be descendants of Brahmana fathers, or is it Vaidyas? It's written Vaidyas. Should not correct. Because the Vaidyas were said to be descendants of
Vaidya.
Brahmana.
He's from a physician's family. Vaidya.
Okay. Because the Vaidyas were said to be descendants of Brahmana fathers and Shudra mothers, they were sometimes called Shudras. Thus, Chandrasekhar, although born in a Vaidya family, was called a Shudra in Banaras. As long as Lord Chaitanya stayed in Banaras, he remained at Chandrasekhar's home and he took his food at the home of Tapan Mishra. When Sanatan Goswami met Lord Chaitanya at Banaras, he learned the process and principles of devotional service during 2 months of continual teaching. Lord Chaitanya's instructions to Sanatan Goswami have been described in the first part of this book. After receiving these teachings, Sanatan Goswami was authorized to propagate the principles of devotional service and Srimad Bhagavatam. It was during this time that both Tapan Mishra and Chandrasekhar were feeling very sorry about the strong criticism against Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they came together and prayed for the Lord to meet the Mayavadi sannyasis. We have been mortified by hearing unfavorable criticisms from the Mayavadi sannyasis against you, they informed Lord Chaitanya. Indeed, it has become intolerable for us. They requested the Lord to do something so that these criticisms would stop. While they were discussing this subject, a Brahmana came to Lord Chaitanya and invited him to his home. All the sannyasis but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had been invited, and now the Brahmana came to invite him. Knowing that the Lord did not mix with Mayavadi sannyasis, the Brahmana fell down at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feet and implored him. Although I know that you do not accept invitations, I still implore you to come and take prasadam at my house, at my home with other sannyasis. If you accept this invitation, I will consider it a special favor. The Lord took this opportunity and accepted the Brahmana's invitation in order to meet the Mayavadi sannyasis. Actually, this was an arrangement made by the Lord himself. Although the Brahmana who invited him knew that the Lord did not accept any invitations, he was still very eager to invite him. The next day, Lord Chaitanya went to the house of the Brahmana and saw that all the Mayavadi sannyasis were sitting there. He offered his respects to all the sannyasis, as was customary, and then he went to wash his feet. After washing, he sat down at that spot, a little distance from the other sannyasis. While he was sitting there, the sannyasis saw a glaring effulgence emanating from his body. Attracted by this glaring effulgence, all the Mayavadi sannyasis stood up and showed him their respects. Among them was a sannyasi named Prakashananda Saraswati. He was the chief among the impersonalist sannyasis, and he addressed Lord Chaitanya with great humility, asking him to come and sit among them. My dear sir, why are you sitting in that filthy place? He asked. Please come and sit with us. Oh, I belong to an inferior sect of sannyasis, Lord Chaitanya replied. Therefore, I think that I should not sit with you. Let me remain down here. Prakashananda was surprised to hear such a thing from such a learned man, and he took the Lord's hand and requested him to please come and sit with him and the other sannyasis. When Lord Chaitanya was finally seated among them, Prakashananda Saraswati said, I think your name is Sri Krishna Chaitanya. And because you have taken sannyas from Keshav Bharati, who belongs to the Shankaracharya Sampradaya, I understand that you belong to our Mayavadi sect. According to the Shankara sect, there are 10 different names for sannyasis. Out of them, 3 names, Tirtha, Ashram, and Saraswati, are given to the sannyasis considered to be the most enlightened and cultured. Since Lord Chaitanya was a Vaishnava, he was naturally humble and meek, and he wanted to give the better sitting place to Prakashananda, who belonged to the Saraswati Sampradaya. According to Shankara principles, a brahmachari of the Bharati school is called Chaitanya. However, although Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, he kept his brahmachari name and did not take up the title of Bharati. Well, sir, Prakashananda Saraswati continued, you belong to our Shankara sect and you're living in Banaras. So why don't you mix with us? What is the reason? Another thing, you're a sannyasi and are supposed to engage simply in the study of the Vedanta. But we see that instead, you are always engaged in chanting and dancing and playing musical instruments. What is the reason? These are the activities of emotional and sentimental people. But you are a qualified sannyasi. Why not engage in the study of the Vedanta? By your effulgence, it appears to us that you are just like the Supreme Narayan, the personality of Godhead. But by your behavior, you appear to be otherwise. So we are inquisitive to know why you act in this way. My dear sir, Lord Chaitanya replied, my spiritual master considered me a great fool. Therefore, he has more or less punished me by saying that because I am such a fool, I have no capacity to study the Vedanta. So he kindly gave me the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. My spiritual master told me, just go on chanting this Hare Krishna mantra. It will make you all perfect. Actually, Lord Chaitanya was neither foolish nor ignorant of the principles of the Vedanta. His purpose was to demonstrate to modern society that fools who have no history of penance and austerity should not try to study the Vedanta just for some recreational purpose. In his Shikshashtaka, Lord Chaitanya said that one should be in humble state of mind, should think himself lower than the grass on the street, should be more tolerant than a tree, and should be devoid of all sense of prestige and ready to offer all kinds of respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the Vedanta philosophy or the holy name of God constantly. The Lord also wanted to teach that a serious student of transcendental science should exactly follow the words of his spiritual master. According to the calculation of his spiritual master, Lord Chaitanya appeared to be a fool. Therefore, he said that he should not indulge in the study of the Vedanta, but should continue chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Lord Chaitanya strictly obeyed his order. In other words, Lord Chaitanya impressed on the Mayavadis that the words of a bona fide spiritual master must be strictly followed. One who does so becomes perfect in all respects. The word Vedanta means the last word of the Vedic knowledge, which is to understand Krishna. As Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Vedescha sarver aham eva vedyaha. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. When one actually comes to understand the Vedanta, he comes to know Krishna and his relationship with Krishna. And one who understands Krishna understands everything. Moreover, the knower of Krishna is always engaged in his transcendental loving service. As the Lord states in the Bhagavad Gita 10:8, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. I am the source of everything, and everything emanates from me. One who perfectly knows this fully engages in my transcendental loving service. A living entity is eternally related with Krishna in the relationship of servant and master. Once that service is wanting, or in other words, when one is not situated in Krishna consciousness, it is to be understood that his study of Vedanta is insufficient. When one does not understand Krishna or does not engage in his transcendental loving service, it is to be understood that he is averse to studying the Vedanta and understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The path of Vedanta study shown by Lord Chaitanya should be followed by all. A person who is puffed up by so-called education has no humility and therefore does not seek the protection of a bona fide spiritual master. He thinks that he does not require a spiritual master and that he can achieve the highest perfection by his own efforts. Such persons are not eligible for studying the Vedanta Sutra. Those who are under the spell of the material energy do not follow the instructions of the disciplic succession, but try to manufacture something on their own. In this way, they step outside the sphere of Vedanta study. A bona fide spiritual master must always condemn such independent mental speculators. If the bona fide spiritual master directly points out the foolishness of a disciple, it should not be taken wrongly. A person who is completely ignorant of the science of God cannot be considered learned. More or less, everyone who is not in Krishna consciousness is subject to foolishness. Sometimes we display our foolishness by accepting someone who is barely educated as a spiritual master. It is our duty to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose lotus feet are worshipped by all the Vedas. One who does not understand him and is proud of a false understanding of the Vedanta is actually a fool. Mundane attempts at academic knowledge are simply another type of foolishness. As long as one cannot understand the cosmic manifestation as a representation of the three modes of material nature, he must be considered to be in the darkness of inebriety and caught in the duality of this material world. A person who is in perfect knowledge of the Vedanta becomes a servitor of the Supreme Lord, who is the maintainer and sustainer of the whole cosmic manifestation. As long as one is not transcendental to the service of the limited, he cannot have knowledge of the Vedanta. As long as one is within the limited jurisdiction of fruitive activities or is involved in mental speculation, he may perhaps be eligible to study or teach theoretical knowledge of the Vedanta Sutra, but he cannot understand the supreme, eternal, transcendental, completely liberated vibration of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. One who has achieved perfection in chanting this transcendental vibration does not have to separately learn the philosophy of the Vedanta Sutra. According to the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the bona fide spiritual master, those who do not understand that this transcendental vibration is non-different from the Supreme, yet who try to become Mayavadi philosophers, expert in the Vedanta Sutra, are all fools. Studying the Vedanta Sutra by one's own efforts, the ascending process of knowledge, is a sign of foolishness. On the other hand, he who has attained a taste for chanting the transcendental vibration has actually reached the conclusion of the Vedanta. In this connection, there are two verses in Srimad Bhagavatam which are very instructive. The purport of the first is that if a person is chanting the transcendental vibration, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, then even if he was born in the family of the lowest of human beings, it is to be understood that in his previous lives he performed all types of renunciation, austerities, and sacrifice, and studied all the Brahma Sutras. The purport of the second verse is that one who chants the two syllables Hari must be considered to have studied all the Vedas, the Rig Veda, the Atharva Veda, Yajur Veda, and Samaveda. On the other hand, there are many so-called devotees who think the Vedanta is not meant for devotees. Such people are ignorant of the fact that the Vedanta is the only platform of pure devotees. Great acharyas in all the four Vaishnava Sampradayas have made commentaries on the Vedanta Sutra. But the so-called devotees known as Prakrit Sahajas carefully avoid the study of the Vedanta Sutra. The Prakrit Sahajas mistakenly take the pure devotees and Vaishnava acharyas to be mental speculators or fruitive actors. Consequently, they themselves become Mayavadis and leave the service of the Supreme Lord. Understanding the Vedanta Sutra by academic knowledge never enables one to understand the value of the transcendental vibration. People who are entangled in academic knowledge are conditioned souls who are confused about the fact of I and mine understanding. Consequently, they are unable to detach their minds from the external energy. When a person actually attains transcendental knowledge, he becomes free from this duality and engages in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord. The Lord's service is the only means by which one can become detached from material engagement. A person properly initiated by a bona fide spiritual master and engaged in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, gradually becomes freed from the conception of I and mine and becomes attached to the Lord's transcendental loving service in one of the 5 transcendental relationships. Such transcendental service is not a subject matter for gross and subtle bodies. Only when one can understand that there is no difference between the Supreme and His name can one be situated in Krishna consciousness. At such a time, one no longer needs to make grammatical adjustments. Rather, one becomes more interested in petitioning the Lord, Hare Krishna, O my Lord, O energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service. Lord Chaitanya.
Can you just pause for a few?
Yes, yes, Ruchi.
Okay, so in the material world, there is the curtain of Mahamaya. So, which specifically in the which specifically has 2 features: the Avarnatmika feature and the Prashetatmika feature. So Prashekatmika feature is what is called as the throwing feature of the Lord, throwing feature of Mahamaya, which means that we get thrown into different material circumstances. Then Avarnatmika potency is feature of the Lord, is of Mahamaya, is where one gets accustomed to that situation into which one is thrown. So Prabhupada gives the example, just like Indra was cursed to become a pig. So then he had a family. He had a wife and he had many piglets and all that. Finally, when it was time for him to resume his position back in the kingdom of heaven, as the king of heaven, in the kingdom of heaven, he refused. He said, "Oh, I have my sheep pig and my piglets and things like that." So this is the feature of the Avarnatmika potency. It is very disturbing for the king of heaven to be born as a pig. That's called the throwing potency. Thrown from being a king of heaven, or being the king of heaven, to an animal, that too in an abominable condition, like a pig. But the potency of Maya, the Avarnatmika potency, is so strong that Indra became attached to that position of being a pig rather than the position of being the king of heaven. So this is how the material nature works. So we may hear we are not the body. We may hear everything is a temporary manifestation. All the forms, matter is permanent, but forms of matter are temporary manifestation. Matter itself is eternal, but forms of matter are temporary manifestation. Forms of matter means all the forms that we see, including our bodies, and all the and these forms are forms of matter, are temporary forms of matter, are related by relationships: father, mother, family, society, country, the world as a whole. So these are all associations between forms of matter. The forms of matter as both gross and subtle. Ultimately, it is interactions between these forms, gross and subtle forms of one person with other persons, or with other entities like trees and animals and things like that, and between each other. So that is the between two forms in this material world, or multiple forms. Anyway, that is the whole concept of material existence. And it is a very disgusting place. It's a very disgusting place. Prison house is not a place to look forward to. It's called Durga, the prison house. It is considered a disgusting place. Dukhalayam Ashashwatam. Dukhalayam, a place of misery. Ashashwatam, temporary. So there are many words which are used to describe all these things. But yet, what happens? We've been hearing these things. But yet, what happens is that we are still identifying in terms of the forms that we have. So if something doesn't go wrong with us, something doesn't go right with us, we get affected. Something doesn't go right, as an extension, first of all, if something doesn't go right with us, we get affected. We'll think, what is happening to me? What will people think? Why is it happening like this? What is that? Then we also, next we think in terms of our family. Why is my husband like this? Why is my wife like this? Why is my son like this? Why is my daughter like this? Why is my daughter-in-law like this? Then it extends to neighbors. Why do I live in a neighborhood like this? It could be other way also. I'm happy to be in this neighborhood. It could be anything. But these are all the kind of interactions of forms in this material world. But when we live, do we find that life, I mean, in general, people are looking forward to have a good day, they say, good morning, have a good day. Or even when somebody ends a call, have a good day. So, like Prabhupada says, suppose you're in a hospital and you're in a very difficult situation, you're bedridden and all these things. But if somebody comes to see you and you say, I'm fine. So Prabhupada said, what is this condition? What is this? So it's like that. But do we sense it? We don't sense it. We don't sense it. Why? In reality, it is like that. It is like that. But we don't sense it. Why? Just like the Indra, he is not sensing that to be the king of heaven is much better than to be a pig. Why? Because of the avaranatmika potency of the Lord. So we think in terms of our own concepts of what is good, what is bad, all these relativities, and if I have a good position, then it's nice for me. All these kind of different things. If I have a good wife, it's good for me. If I have good children, it's good. If I have a good job, first of all, it's a disgusting place. On top of that, we are thinking in terms of this is nice, that is nice, forgetting the fact this is all a disgusting place. Now, we have the knowledge, but are we able to experience it? No. Why we're not able to experience it? Because the fact that we are because the avaranatmika feature of the Lord, or rather, a feature of the Lord means feature of Mahamaya. So it completely covers up reality and makes us accepting a disgusting situation as acceptable. So when it is mentioned that one should perform karma yoga brings purification of the heart. One should perform jnana yoga, further purification, like that. So the idea is that one should get free from all misconceptions. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchate. So rishikena rishikesha sevanam. Anyway, the point that I was trying to make is that we are constantly covered by the Avarnatmika feature of Maya Mahamaya. Now we need to get out of that feature, first of all. The very fact that we think that the material world is nice, or this is nice, that is nice, and whatever are the latest in Delhi, there's a new international airport coming up in close to Noida. There's so many things to look forward to. The moment we think like this, oh, next the new government has come, we can expect this, we can expect that. All these things that we look forward to, these are all features of the Avaranatmika product. We are looking forward, it's a disgusting life. On top of that, we're looking forward as if something is interesting. Now, it is easier said, but the point is we don't have that experience. If we have that experience, then what would it be? What would our life look like? Like the Goswamis. Gopi Baba Rasamrita Abdalahari Kallola Magnam Muhu. So because they're so absorbed in Gopi Baba Rasamrita Lahari. Why? So because of which they don't bother. They're living under a tree each night. What is all this good, bad, cold, heat? Nothing. All dualities due to sense perception. It becomes insignificant. Tyaktva turna mashesha mandalapati shrenim sada tuchava. Tucha. Useless. They've just given up aristocracy. They've given up. They're very, very rich people, in fact. Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. Very rich. Ultra rich people. But they gave up all that as useless, insignificant. All this aristocratic family and this and that and all useless. That is the realization they came to. We may hear this a million times, but do we think? Do we have the experience like that? No. So there is a shortage of Krishna consciousness. So it's explained here how just by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There is so much, Rupa Goswami says, there is so much nectar in these two words, in these words, in these names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna and Rama. There is so much pleasure in these syllables. I wish that I had 1,000 years to chant these holy names. We think, I'm talking general, not to everybody. When are my rounds going to finish? When am I going to do the next activity? So we have, why? Because of the feature of the Avarnatmika potency. So Prabhupada is explaining very nicely. I mean, he's summarizing Lord Chaitanya's teachings to Prakashan and the Saraswati, that to get out of this Avarnatmika platform is not meant for us by other processes. Impossible. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we cannot get out of this through other processes, through all studying Vedanta. It'll take millions of lifetime, very slow. So Lord Chaitanya, in this age, there is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So Lord Chaitanya, spiritual master, Ishwara Puri told him that just chant the holy names. That's it. And Lord Chaitanya takes that position. Although Lord Chaitanya is the supreme spiritual master of all spiritual masters, still he takes the role of a disciple, and he says, my spiritual master considered me a fool. Therefore, he told me, chant the Hare Krishna mantra. That does not mean that Hare Krishna mantra is meant for fools. It means that the Hare Krishna mantra works even if we are fools. It's not that the mantra is meant for fools. So the sum and substance of this whole discussion is that if one chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the Avarnatmika potency of Mahamaya lifts. Then we experience this Krishna Bhakti Rasa, and we experience the world for what it is. Academic scholars may study all these things. They may have information that this is a world of Maya, where something, Maya means that which is not. We are not the bodies, but we think we are the bodies. Identifying with that which we are not. So they may know all these things. The scholars of Vedanta Sutra, what is the use of this knowledge? And the others, for example, the scholars, the Mayavadi scholars, whom Lord Chaitanya is meeting here. What is happening to them? They're going through a process. It's a very slow process. So Lord Chaitanya tells them that I'm a fool. Basically, he's trying to say all people in Kali Yuga are fools. So let's take the process which really works effectively, which is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So that is the summary of the discussions so far. I'm just paraphrasing the discussion. This is the essence of the discussion. Any comments, questions, reflections on whatever I spoke so far?
Hare Krishna, Pranam Prabhuji.
Yes, ma'am.
And there is no question as such on your commentary, what you said. It's all very clear and understandable. Prabhuji, in the beginning of the paragraphs of this chapter, when Mataji was reading, Prakasha, there was a line where when Prakashananda Saraswati saw the effulgence on Lord Chaitanya's body, then he felt that he is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan. It is written there. So my question is that they believe in the impersonal form, Prakash. Then how is it said that the Prakashananda Saraswati felt that he is none other than Narayan?
See, even the Mayavadis, as I said, they have the process of Panchopasana. As I explained last time, Brahman in touch with the mode of goodness is the deity. Brahman in touch with the mode of passion is the Jiva. So Brahman in touch with the mode of ignorance is the material world. So people in the mode of passion, they're supposed to perform an activity which can elevate them. So worshipping the Lord, worshipping Brahman who has come into contact with Maya in the form of mode of goodness is beneficial. But it's because that's the understanding. So when he says that he's Supreme Lord, it's not that he understood that. But after Lord Chaitanya speaks, he understands. But before he speaks, whatever his understanding may be, it's definitely not. I mean, it's definitely not that Lord Chaitanya is Bhagavan and things like that. But Mayavadis also have a concept of God. They think we are also God. That's a different thing. But I'm just saying that there is a concept of God. Brahman.
Yes, Professor.
But that Brahman cannot be described in words. That's a different thing according to them. Okay, but when that Brahman comes into contact with material nature in the mode of goodness, then you have the deities. They have 5 deities whom they worship. Yeah. Any other thoughts, reflections, questions? Basically, Lord Chaitanya is trying to say, don't try to get out of this Maya by all these processes. It's just not meant for, we're not qualified to do all these kind of things. Let's just chant Hare Krishna. But you'll get the effect of all these processes, what you're doing. It's a very long drawn process, but the same thing can be achieved by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. We're not qualified. We don't have the adhikar to practice all those things at this age. We have adhikar to chant the holy names. And the chanting of the holy names is simultaneously not just meant for people of Kali Yuga, but it's also the highest process. There's nothing which can equal that process also. So we are supremely fortunate. Okay, so if there are no comments or questions or reflections, we can continue for some more time, and then we'll take, maybe by then people will develop, I mean, devotees may have some questions by then or something to share. All right, so let's read ahead.
Yes, Guruji. Lord Chaitanya explained all this to Prakashananda Saraswati and told him that he had heard all this from his spiritual master. He further informed Prakashananda Saraswati that his spiritual master had taught him that Srimad Bhagavatam is the actual commentary on the Vedanta Sutra as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam by Vyasadeva, the author of the Vedanta Sutra. A student's perfection is to understand the identity of the holy name and the Supreme Lord. Unless one is under the shelter of a realized spiritual master, his understanding of the Supreme is simply foolishness. However, one can fully understand the transcendental Lord by service and devotion. When Lord Chaitanya offenselessly chanted the Hare Krishna mantra, he declared that the mantra could at once deliver a conditioned soul from material contamination. In this age of Kali, there is no alternative to chanting this Mahamantra. It is stated that the essence of all Vedic literature is the chanting of this holy name of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Lord Chaitanya also told Prakashananda Saraswati, in order to convince me about this essential fact of Vedic knowledge, my spiritual master has taught me a verse from the Brahan Naradiya Puran, 38:126. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Namev Kevalam, Kalau Nastev, Nastev, Nastev Gatiranyatha. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. In 3 out of the 4 millenniums, namely Satyayug, Treta, and Dwapar Yuga, people had the honor to strive to understand transcendence through the path of disciplic succession. But in the present age, Due to the influence of Kali, people have no interest in the disciplic succession. Instead, they have invented many paths of logic and argument. This individual attempt to understand the supreme transcendence, called the ascending process, is not the Vedic way. The absolute truth must descend from the absolute platform. He is not to be understood by the ascending process. The holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, is a transcendental vibration because it comes from the transcendental platform, the supreme abode of Krishna. And because there is no difference between Krishna and his name, the holy name of Krishna is as pure, perfect, and liberated as Krishna himself. Academic scholars, relying on logic and argument, have no entrance into the understanding of the transcendental nature of the holy name of God. The single path for understanding the transcendental nature of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, is the chanting of these names with faith and adherence. Such chanting will release one from designated conditions arising from the gross and subtle bodies. In this age of logical argument and disagreement, the chanting of Hare Krishna is the only means for self-realization. And because this transcendental vibration alone can deliver the conditioned soul, it is the essence of the Vedanta Sutra. According to the material conception, there is a difference between a person himself and his name, form, qualities, emotions, and activities. But as far as this transcendental vibration is concerned, there is no such limitation, for it descends from the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, unlike the material world, there is no difference between a person and his name and qualities. Because the Mayavadi philosophers cannot understand this, they cannot utter the transcendental vibration. Lord Chaitanya then told Prakashananda Saraswati that because he received the order from his spiritual master, he was constantly chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. As a result of this chanting, the Lord said, I sometimes become very impatient and cannot restrain myself from dancing and laughing or crying and singing. Indeed, I become just like a madman. When I first wondered whether I had become mad by chanting this Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, I approached my spiritual master and informed him that I had gone mad by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thus I asked him what was my actual position. In the Narad Pancharatra it is stated, Esho Vedaha Shad Angani Chandamsi Vividhaha Suraha Sarvam Ashta Sharan Tahastham Yach Chanyad Api Manmayam Sarva Vedanta Sararthaha Samsaranav Taranaha. All Vedic rituals, mantras, and understanding are compressed into the 8 words Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Similarly, in the Kali Santaran Upanishad, it is stated, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Iti Shodashakan Nam Kali Kalmasha Nashanam Natah Parantaro Payah Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. The 16 words Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, are specially meant for countering the contaminations of Kali. To save oneself from the contamination of Kali, there is no alternative to the chanting of these 16 words. Lord Chaitanya informed Prakashananda Saraswati that when his spiritual master understood him, he said, it is the transcendental nature of the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, to transport a man into spiritual madness. Anyone who sincerely chants this holy name is quickly elevated to the platform of love of God and becomes mad after God. This madness, arising from love of God, is the highest perfectional stage for a human being. Generally, a human being is interested in religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. But love of God is above all these. A bona fide spiritual master chants the holy names Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And the transcendental sound vibration enters the ear of the disciple. And if the disciple follows in the footsteps of his spiritual master and chants the holy name with similar respect, this chanting constitutes worship of the transcendental name. When the transcendental name is worshipped by the devotee, the name himself spreads his glories within the heart of the devotee. When the devotee is perfectly qualified in chanting the transcendental vibration of the holy name, he is quite fit to become a spiritual master and to deliver all the people of the world. The chanting of the holy name is so powerful that it gradually establishes its supremacy above everything in the world. The devotee who chants it becomes transcendently situated in ecstasy and sometimes laughs, cries, and dances in his ecstasy. Sometimes the unintelligent put hindrances in the path of the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but one who is situated on the platform of love of Godhead continues to chant the holy name loudly for the benefit of all concerned. As a result, everyone becomes initiated into the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. By chanting and hearing the holy names of Krishna, a person can remember the forms and qualities of Krishna.
Okay, so if you notice, this whole teachings of Prakashananda Saraswati is about chanting of the holy names. And because that is what is the Yuga Dharma, and that is what was criticized by the Mayava. That is what the Mayavadis, the sannyasis criticized. That you are simply chanting and dancing like a madman, like a sentimentalist. So he establishes the supremacy of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Now, one thing that needs to be noted here is that the Lord Chaitanya and his followers, Nana Shastra Vichara Naika Nipunau Saddharma Samstapako. So Lord Chaitanya and his followers establish the supremacy of the process of pure devotional service, in which the most essential elements are hearing and chanting, based on a thorough research of all the Vedic literatures. Vedic literatures, by that which I mean both the Shruti and the Smritis, both. So, Nana Shastra Vichara Naika Nipuno Saddharma Samstabako. So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers have established the supremacy of the chanting of the holy name based on scripture. Based on scripture. It is not like some, what do you say, they didn't pick a slogan from somewhere and say, this is it. Don't discuss, don't analyze, don't do anything, just forget about it. No, they say the essence of all this is you don't need anything, just chant the holy names. But to come to that conclusion, they are establishing it based on scripture. He establishes the supremacy of the process of chanting Hare Krishna over the reading of Vedanta Sutra. That is their main process. And so Lord Chaitanya establishes how our main process is supreme, and uh, he establishes that based on scriptural evidence. In Vedic circles, whenever you have a discussion, it's very important. The both of them have to accept a common source of authority. Now, therefore, there would only be a discussion between two people who accept the Vedas. If one person does not accept the Vedas, then there's no question of a discussion. There's no discussion, doesn't even start without both people accepting the Vedas as authoritative. Like in modern world, you're discussing between atheists and a Krishna conscious person. You didn't have these kind of situations in Vedic, in India, in Vedic times and things, or even some 100 years ago. Some few hundred years ago, like how we are seeing here. The common authority was the Vedas. People would accept Vedic authority. And they may have a different interpretation of that, of the Vedic texts. But then there's a common authority based on which they're discussing. But today it's far more complicated because you're going to be dealing with people who don't even accept Vedic authority. Therefore, Prabhupada envisioned other non-Vedic methods of trying to make people convinced about Krishna consciousness. For example, the Bhaktivedanta Institute. So he said in the Bhaktivedanta Institute, show that life comes from life. Show that God is a person. And we haven't done much work in that area. So some work we've done. But the Christian theologians or scientists with a Christian background, they have what's called the Discovery Institute. So they use science. They don't use the Bible to establish that God is a person. They use the scientific method to establish that God is a person. And they have written they're all PhDs and credible scientists. So sometimes with the modern audience, this kind of approach is needed. Prabhupada had that vision. He knew this. The people are not going to accept Vedic authority easily. So he wanted the Bhaktivedanta Institute where they can use the modern methods to convince people. It is not that science is going to prove the Vedas. There's nothing called science proving the Vedas. Because the Vedas are self-effulgent. It's like, how do you say the sun? How do you see the sun, or how the sun? You see the sun when the sun shows itself to us. Finished. It's like it's not that you can take a torch and go look for the sun and find the sun. It's not going to work. So the sun itself reveals itself to us, right? Like that. So there's nothing called proving the Vedas. The Vedas are self-illuminating. You don't need something else to prove it. Just like you can't take a torch and try to show the sun. So you can't take the torch of some modern methods and say this proves the Vedas. No, Vedas are proven by themselves actually. But this is like a method of convincing people who don't accept Vedic authority. As far as we are concerned, we don't need a scientific proof. So-called scientific proof. When we say so-called, it means that we don't need science to prove the Vedas. We accept it. Vedas are self-authoritative. They are the words of God. They're as good as God. So for us, that's the position. So we accept it. Whereas the others don't accept. So therefore, according to their methods, we're trying to show them that, look, God exists, God is a person, and things like that. Here, that is not the kind of debate that's happening. It's pure debate based on Vedic scriptures itself. Okay, so we have finished this chapter. Any thoughts, reflections, questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisance.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, now sometimes there are people who are like disturbed generally in life. So when we urge them to start chanting or give them books, sometimes they don't accept things like that. So in that case, what should we focus on? Like, should they read literature first, Prabhupada's books first, or should we urge them to chant? What should we do? What should be our approach?
Uh, there is no one size which fits all when it comes to Krishna consciousness.
Yes.
On the other hand, there is also, as Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness like a sugar doll. You may have the head and the hands and the legs and all these things of a sugar doll. Wherever you touch, it's sugar sweet only. So the purpose that we go out and chant in the streets and do Harinam, so is that even people who are not voluntarily participating, involuntarily they hear the holy name. So that purifies their heart, and that is the street Sankirtan. So then you have the Brihad Sankirtan, which is the books. Books are recorded Kirtan. So they can vibrate beyond a street or a neighborhood. They can vibrate across the whole world. That is why it's called the Brihad Mridanga. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to call it the Brihad Mridanga. So different devotees have come to Krishna consciousness through different methods. So one of the most common thing is prasadam. I mean, at least a lot of people have said that they came to Krishna consciousness due to prasadam. And well, that cannot be taken as what do you call it? As the sure way, Like my experience, the first time that I had prasadam in ISKCON, I thought, oh no, I can't do this. Because it was morning breakfast prasadam that I had first time. And it was rice dal. I have never had rice dal in my whole life in the morning. So I thought, oh my God, could I avoid it? But I couldn't, because you have the temple rice person taking you to have prasadam. So I somehow had it. So it's not that every person gets attracted to Krishna consciousness for through prasadam. But yes, several devotees, a lot of them have said that they've got. But as I'm saying, there's no one size which fits all. So we have to see according to individual circumstances. We can only try our best anyway. We can pray to Krishna sitting in our hearts. You can tell Krishna, Krishna, you are the same Krishna who's sitting in his heart also, or her heart also. Please help me. So just like when we go out on book distribution, we think we are doing a great thing. But when we chant the holy names, when we try to give out the books, because if we are sincere, then Krishna will direct some sincere soul towards us. But otherwise also, there's something called, Krishna works in different ways. He'll send some souls to us. He will also bestow his mercy on somebody who's totally, it's called costless mercy. Just like, for example, when we may just go out onto the street and try to hand over a book to a person. He may just take it. That's called costless mercy. Maybe the Krishna is not sent. But it's just random. So we can't predict how this whole thing works, But we should be confident of the process of Krishna consciousness, in the sense that, as Prabhupada, once one reporter came, the bottom line is this, that we should do our best. The bottom line is, when a devotee, when a reporter came to Philadelphia airport, when Prabhupada arrived, a reporter came to interview him. But somehow this reporter arrived after all the people had left. And Prabhupada had finished the interview, he was going to the temple. So somehow he was huffing and panting, and finally came and he thrusted a mic in front of Prabhupada's this thing, and then he said, what is this Krishna consciousness philosophy all about? And Prabhupada gave a very simple answer. He said, we are teaching the science of the absolute truth. If you are sincere, you will take to it. That's it. That's the answer that he gave. So ultimately, it boils down to the sincerity of the person. If you are sincere, you will take it. So we should be conscious of this fact, We can try our best. If they take it, they take it. If they don't take it, they don't take it. And we can't really, it's not some formula, this will work, that will work, all those things. We just do our best, whatever possible. Suppose the person comes into the temple at prasadam time. Okay, it's wonderful, give him prasadam. If he comes into a time which is not prasadam time, see if you can give some prasadam, show him things. So what interests different people is difficult to say because everything is sugar doll. Try which part of the sugar doll is working for him. That's it, for him or her.
Yes, Roji, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, quite along the same line, like the model world, it is so resilient to taking Krishna consciousness. So it just so happened that, I was just impressing upon that all the problems, the 7 problems that we deal with in this world, as Srila Prabhupada has taught us, that it can be well, Krishna consciousness is well equipped to deal with all that. And so I was talking about the philosophy, and then, they should be assured that the philosophy that is Krishna consciousness is offering them is from the parampara. It is not a concocted, it's not somebody's mental speculation. It is coming from the parampara. And I explained that if you go through the Bhagavad Gita, the parampara is mentioned, and then the literary incarnation, Ved Vyas, he penned down everything for our benefit, for the people of Kali. And the comment I get finally is that how are we so sure that what Krishna has said is exactly what Vedas has penned down, that he has not added or had some mental speculation? How to deal with people of this world, Prabhuji? It is so difficult.
No. So Krishna gives an answer to that, no? He says in the Bhagavad Gita 9th chapter, he says, Raja Vidya Rajaguhyam, Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam, he says. So, which means the Pratyaksha. Pratyaksha is a word used in science, direct perception. Just like when you're cooking something, you tell people you put these ingredients, this is the result that you will get. And it's something which you can directly experience, right? So, Krishna consciousness is not just a set of information or a set of practices. It is experiential. This is said, and this is exactly what you'll experience. So it's Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam. Dharma, which is Pratyaksha, which is directly you can experience. So you can say, yes, they may have said whatever. I mean, whether you, just like that's why Prabhupada says that in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, one should have only theoretical acceptance. One need not have any factual acceptance. Theoretically, if one accepts Krishna as God also, and try it. It works. So you can tell them, you don't have to, you may think whatever, just theoretically accept it may be true. So that's one of the possibilities. That, okay, it could be, I mean, somebody's written whatever. You may say whatever it is. But it could also be true, whatever I'm saying, is one of the possibilities. So, and what do you lose? As Prabhupada would always say, this is free. What are you losing by this? Check it and see,
Yes.
It's not like some scam if you to invest some money and then you lose further money and further money and further money and all that. That's not what is happening here. It's something you can check it. So it's Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam. So yeah, that's one way of dealing with it.
Thank you, Prabhuji. That really sounds. Thank you.
Just like Prabhupada said, once when he was dealing with someone, he said, so what, even if Krishna is not God, we have a wonderful life. So, I mean, the point that I'm trying to make is that the experience is real. Can someone deny the experience? Real. That's it. So that's one place where Prabhupada said, even if Krishna is not God, even if people are saying all these, let Krishna not be God, still we like this lifestyle. Very nice.
Yes, true. It's so strange. I mean, like it's it's so I don't to get across, to break it upon them, and just starting on a note of denial. That is so. That actually you need your patience. You need all your sadhana to actually sit with you at that moment when you're dealing in such circumstances.
No, you see, you should say something very outrageous. You know, like for example, I mean, it depends on people to people. You should say something very outrageous. Like you say Narendra Modi doesn't exist. Right? Then what do you mean? Then you say, have you seen him? Have you seen him? No. You've seen him on TV. How do you know what they're showing is real? You understood, right? How do you know what they're
Okay.
saying is real? You don't know what they, why? Because they'll say, okay, this prayer. Okay. So that means, how do you know that person had this degree? Okay, for example, this television is showing this thing. How do you know it's a credible channel? You know, they may be showing something fake. No. They say, no,
Yes.
no, no. So if you actually boil down, all these are acts of faith.
Hmm.
Okay. Because without faith, this is, you need to make people understand this, and you need to understand yourself also. That without acts of faith, nobody can live. In material life, you cannot live without acts of faith. They
Absolutely.
are different acts of faith which put together and make you create, make you act, I mean, different acts of faith which carry you forward in life. For example, when you board an airplane, you have not checked the pilot's qualifications. You don't know whether he has qualified or not. You're putting faith in that. You're putting faith in the airline. You're putting faith in the pilot. You're assuming that the aircraft engineer has checked the aircraft properly. You're putting faith in. There are different acts of faith which are involved in flying in an airplane from one place to another. Just giving simple example. Like that, there is every activity that you do are all acts of faith. The question is whether it is reasonable faith or not.
Even that story, Prabhuji, where the kid is not within the extreme turbulence, the kid is not scared. And everybody is really petting and all that. And then this is because I have my father is the pilot, so he is just, is just sitting with complete confidence and faith.
No, see,
Wow.
see, the point that I'm making is not just about faith, but the fact is, is it reasonable faith or not? If you see, they will say that Narendra Modi exists. I have not seen him, by the way. So I mean, so those of us who have not seen, but still accept that he's present, right? He exists. Why? This is an act of reasonable faith. So just because you have not experienced something, you have not seen something directly, does not mean that it is weird to believe in something which you have not seen directly.
Yes.
You understood, right?
Yes,
So,
yes, right.
yeah. So even in ordinary life, it is a reasonable act of faith to believe that Narendra Modi exists and he's running the country. It is not like some, as Jayadatta Maharaj puts, it's not some two-headed ghost of Aristotle's mother who's running India. You know, it's not. It's not. We know that. Why? When we say we know that, do we know by direct perception? No. But on reasonable faith, we know. Like that.
Yes.
So even their whole life is based on reasonable faith only, no? So therefore, we can appeal to them. Is it unreasonable? Anyway, you chant, you talk so much, you talk about politics, you chat about so many things. Why don't you just chant and see? Because the word mantra, man means mind, tra means which liberates. And if you think that sound does not have so much power, then why do we believe in ultrasound and all that? With ultrasound, you can perform surgery, and sound can produce so many things. Sound can do so many things in this world. Actually. Just sound. If sound can perform a surgery, I mean it's a physical thing which it can do. Just sound, So sound is very powerful entity. Powerful energy in this world. So if sound can do so many things tangibly which you are seeing, sound can also liberate the mind. So why don't you just try it? I don't think anybody will say this is destructive. I've not heard that argument so far. They may say it is waste or this, but how will you know unless you
try it?
try it? Yeah.
The experience is what will tell you, and
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ruji. Thank you. That explains it very well.
Okay, looks like there are no further thoughts or questions or reflections. So we'll stop for today and again resume next Thursday. Thank you all for joining. We're resuming from chapter 19 next week.
I've marked it now again.
Okay. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha Paritanam bhavanebhyo vaishnebhyo namo namah. Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanand.
Thank you so much, Ruji.